Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to our cozy little corner of the internet. I am AP Calculus and today I'll be reading Why by IDKman underscore who knows. Very funny username by the way, absolutely amazing. Anyway, this is a My Hero Academia fic, one shot, and here is a summary. No, I don't think you can become a hero without a quirk. For Izuku's whole life, people have told him he could never be a hero without a quirk. He got that he was quirkless, that was obvious. But in what way did that mean he couldn't become a hero? Izuku had one question. Why? Or, Izuku asked All Might why he couldn't be a hero without a quirk, and it turns into a very heated argument. I love this fic so much. Please make sure to go over to AO3 and give the author comments and likes and kudos, because this is amazing. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. No, I do not think you can become a hero without a quirk. For all of Izuku's life, he had been told that being a hero without a quirk was a pipe dream, impossible, unrealistic. Against all odds, Izuku kept trying, kept believing that just because everyone says it was impossible, that it didn't mean it actually was. After all, if there weren't any schools that accepted quirkless applicants, that just meant they were never given the chance to try. Even though everyone said he couldn't be a hero without a quirk, All Might said everyone could become a hero. All Might was the number one hero, he had to be telling the truth. Except he wasn't. Or, at least he didn't believe what he said. Something in Izuku snapped. Every single day of his life, people said, "No, you can't be a hero. You'll get yourself killed. You'll just be a liability. You should be realistic." Izuku was beginning to hate that word. No, Izuku couldn't be a hero because he was a stupid, useless Deku. There was just one thing he wanted to know. Why? A voice whispered into the air of the silent rooftop. If it was any softer, it probably wouldn't have been heard, but it was. What do you mean, why? All Might asked, looking at Izuku like he should be in a mental institution. Why can't I be a hero? And, that was the question. The question Izuku never bothered to ask, no one's ever bothered to answer. Well, I've already told you about my injury. All Might says slowly, like he was talking to a cornered animal. If I could get injured like this, what would happen to you? You would just be a liability. Because of course he would. Midoriya Izuku could never hold himself up in a fight against a real villain. Yeah, right. Like Izuku would be that stupid. He was quirkless, and as much as he despised it, he knew he would have a major disadvantage in the fight. So he took it upon himself to learn how. He has already bumped into villains before on the way home. Stupid Kachan locking me in closets. Izuku thought bitterly. Not even an hour ago, he would have probably looked aghast at seeing how Izuku was acting right now. But honestly, he had no fucks left to give. And why would I be a liability? He asked in a deceptively sweet tone. If you start lashing out now, they'll never give you your answer, and probably just get fed up and leave. All Might sputtered for a moment, looking utterly stupefied at the child standing before him. Because you're quirkless. Now he was starting to look slightly muffled. You would get yourself killed. Why? Izuku asked again, more insistently this time. He needed to know. His whole life, people had told him he couldn't do this, he can't do that. And Izuku just wanted to know why. He knew he was quirkless, but how did that have anything to do with his capabilities? You're powerless. All Might huffed. This was actually getting amusing to watch him struggle for a response. We lived in a quirk society. Face it. Everyone would be able to take you down easily. Why? All Might was not very good at giving answers. Izuku needed to know. Because you don't have powers. Because everyone has powers and you don't. You'll never be able to defeat them without a quirk. Oh yeah, he was starting to look really irritated now. Why? Boy, it was starting to sound like he was a broken record or something. Well, it wasn't his fault that All Might couldn't answer a simple question. He was just about fuming now. If he didn't know better, he might have thought that this was endeavour. Everyone could defeat you. You'd just drag your teammates out on the field and be another person to worry about. And why would that be? Izuku decided to take some pity on the hero and expanded his question, because at this point they were just going around in circles. I'm trained. Well, as trained as he could get with just Hero Tube, but he didn't need to know that. In fighting, and not all villains have combated quirks. Plus, even if they do, I'm good at analysis. I'm sure I would be able to find their weaknesses and take them down. A tense silence settled over the pair as All Might was obviously still processing his words. Dumbass. And Izuku waited patiently for a response. But you're quirkless. Was that seriously all he could come up with after having a whole 5 entire minutes to think of something to say? So, yes, at this point, he wasn't trying to get an answer. He more or less wanted to prove to the Quirker's hero that being quirkless doesn't automatically mean that he's useless. So what if he's snarky along the way? You wouldn't stand a chance against the hero who gave me my injury. All Might yelled back, accusatory. Geez, I'm right here. Izuku thought to himself, irritated. I never said that I could, or that I would. Izuku started slowly, making sure the idiot named All Might could understand his thought process being as slow as snails. You've already detained whoever this villain was, so I obviously wouldn't be fighting him. Also, who said that I would be facing the big-time all-powerful villains? Of course I'd struggle against those. I reckon I could win if I really tried. But I never said that I wanted to be a Limelight hero. God, no. And they're back to a tense silence. Hooray! At least the hero seemed to be mulling it over. Did something finally get through his stick-ass skull? Izuku thought idly. At least All Might had at least looked contemplative. So he counted that as a win in his book. Somewhere, Izuku doesn't think he would be able to remember where for the life of him. On the internet, he had read that winning an argument against a dumb person just proves how smart you are, or something like that. You'll never get anywhere if you're not a Limelight hero. Anything else doesn't really count, as they don't do any of the nitty-gritty stuff. And Izuku was pissed. He was fine with the hero hating on him, less at the whole Quirkless community, but every single other type of hero excluding Limelight? No, that was too far. You would never in a million years be able to convince Izuku that Limelight heroes do the most nitty-gritty stuff. If anything, they do the least work out of anyone. Rescue heroes see natural disasters and ruins and so much destruction. They have to deal with all the injured and see so many gory injuries that look like it came out straight out of a horror movie, and the corpses that would probably traumatize them for the rest of their lives. There are also heroes that don't do anything on the battlefield, but do just as much, if not more, than those in the Limelight. For example, you can't tell him that Nezu doesn't do any hard stuff. The amount of work he does on the daily is insane. And Recovery Girl, she is so admirable. Izuku is almost surprised that she hasn't completely retired due to 1, old age, since she should not be working at her age, and 2, being overworked. She does so much for heroes and heroes in training alike. As well as the times she has gone to visit hospitals in the area. She is truly incredible. Heck, it's like he's forgotten about the very existence of his own sidekick. Sonadai rarely goes out onto the field anymore, yet the amount of drug busts, fighting rings, and human traffickers he has taken down is in the hundreds. And looking at all those files, all that information he must have found, and no doubt seeing it for himself. That wasn't hard? What a load of bullshit. Oh, and who could forget those who have by far the most nitty-gritty jobs of all? Underground heroes. They were the ones actually taking down the fighting rings and drug busts. They fight their way through it just to save people. Plus, they don't even get a single ounce of credit. Instead, they stay anonymous to the public, and the public doesn't even find out these drug busts existed in the first place. Underground heroes take the brunt of the work from limelight heroes that they don't want to do, since they won't get clout from the media about it. There were so many more things to think about when becoming an underground hero. You also have to be stealthy and smart, but also fully capable in a fight. You have to be the brain and the brawn. They are the ones who work on cases with the police. They're the ones who stop attempted muggings in dark alleyways. They protect assailants from victims and protect the general public. They have to deal with the smart villains, the ones that come out at night. Without them, society would probably fall apart. How is that not nitty-gritty? And All Might is telling him that the limelight heroes do the nitty-gritty stuff. If anything, they just smile and pose for the camera their entire career, speaking in interviews and signing autographs and taking pictures with fans. That was not hard. You're kidding, right? Izuku asks, not even caring to bite back his laugh. Are you saying heroes like Nezu, Razorhead, Recovery Girl, 13, and even your own past sidekick, Sir Night-Eye, haven't gotten anywhere in their entire career? Now, All Might looks speechless. He was making a very good impression of a goldfish right now. Perhaps he was a cosplayer. Izuku held back a snort at the image of All Might in a fish suit. So, All Might, why can't I be a hero without a quirk? Izuku asks innocently, as if he hasn't just rendered the hero speechless. All Might looks like he's about to start shouting discrepancies at him, but before he does, a deafening boom echoed in the distance. Izuku and All Might's eyes, blown wide at each other, meet, both staring at the other in shock. That was a sound Izuku would recognize from just about anywhere. Breaking eye contact with All Might, he looked down to where Izuku could have sworn the bottle for the sludge villain was. It was gone. Abruptly, Izuku turned tail and fled the rooftop. He rushed down the flight after flight of stairs, tripping over a few and jumping over others. Before he knew it, he was at the source of the sound. Karchan was here, alright. He was here, and he was the sludge villain's newest hostage. Then Izuku and Karchan's eyes, scared, so scared, met each other. He ran. It didn't matter that he could hear Hiro shouting at him to come back, calling him a fool. It didn't matter because Karchan was about to die, and these heroes were doing jack shit. As he ran, he thought through his options. What did he have? His notebook, his backpack, and a pencil that All Might use to sign his notebook. Okay, he could make this work. As he said earlier, Izuku trained himself. Along with knowing combat, he learnt how to use weapons too. With that, he learnt how to throw knives. Conveniently, Izuku had something that wasn't exactly a knife, but it would certainly do the job. He tightened his hold around the pencil and lined up his throw. It was definitely weird to be throwing something that wasn't a knife, but Izuku was confident he could do it. The pencil whizzed through the air, landing right in the villain's eye. A scream tore through the air as blood dripped down from his eye. Ouch. Then it struck. The sludge villain's hold around Karchan loosened exponentially. Perfect. Just what he wanted. With the already loosened sludge, he swung his bag around and shot it at the villain. Because it was already loose, Karchan was only held on by a few tendrils of goo now. And so, with all his strength, he pulled his Gakuran and pulled. Izuku and Karchan went tumbling back, hitting the pavement roughly. Despite them being out of the villain's clutches, Izuku knew they weren't completely out of the woods yet. Adrenaline coursing through his veins, he booked it back to the crowd of onlookers, while Kachan was being carried bridal style. Thankfully, the villain was still preoccupied with his eye, and so he wasn't focusing on the pair of middle schoolers. When Izuku made it to the sections of the crowd filled with heroes, police cars, and an ambulance, Kachan was already coughing up sludge and coming back to his senses when Izuku handed him over to the paramedics. He turned around, prepared to be faced with an onslaught of angry, reprimanding heroes. Instead, he was met with awe-filled expressions from all the heroes. Are they not going to capture the villain? Despite the bubbling pride that they were looking at him like he was a hero, they needed to get the sludge villains. They needed to end the sludge villain's rampage. He took in the pros on the scene and came to a conclusion. What are you guys doing just standing here for? You need to catch the villain, Izuku urged. Instead of snapping out of their daydreaming and going to face the villain like he had expected, they just cast nervous looks to each other. None of us have quirks that are suited for this situation, Manuel hesitantly explained. What? So what? You're waiting for a hero with a better quirk to show up? Izuku couldn't believe this. What was his life? In fact, what was his day? Izuku wasn't going to boss around pros. He wasn't. That would be rude. He really wasn't. All of you have quirks suited for the situation. You just need to use a bit of teamwork. Yup, Izuku was really doing this. Izuku turned to Backdraft. You've been trying to keep the fire away from the civilians with your water quirk, correct? Backdraft nodded. Well, you could start to try and clear the path towards the villain, so Death Arms and Kamari Woods can get through and secure the villain. Death Arms, Kamari Woods, and Backdraft just looked at each other and back at Izuku for a moment like they were finally starting to put two and two together. Death Arms, you should punch the villain down. That should weaken him and also make him smaller. And try to punch him into whatever container you have. Kamari Woods, you should try and barricade him with your branches, slowly wrapping around him. That should subconsciously make him shrink in size. You should aim for the eyes and mouth. Those are the only solid things on his body. Death Arms can be the main combat, and Kamari Woods can be the backup. Both of the pair agreed after processing the plan completely. Kamari Woods looking a bit queasy at the thought of stabbing the sludge villain's eye like Izuku had done before. What about the civilians? Death Arms asked. That's what Mount Lady is going to be for, Izuku said, turning to address the hero in question. Mount Lady, you should size up and keep the crowd away from the fight and start evacuating everyone. You got it! Mount Lady responded with a smile before running off to do as instructed. After that, the rest of the pros went off to do their assigned jobs as Izuku made his way back to the crowd. He was about to start heading home, not bothering to see the villain's arrest, when he saw a familiar tall blonde in the crowd. Well, you were extremely helpful out there today, weren't you? Izuku said, sarcasm dripping into every single word. All Might jumped and spun to face Izuku. You? Me? Izuku deadpanned back. What was the hero trying to get out of this? That was incredibly reckless, and you could have gotten yourself killed, All Might reprimanded. Izuku felt a scowl make its way onto his face, morphing from a stoic expression into an angry one. So could have those heroes, he snarled back. The job description of being a hero is putting yourself at risk. Of course I could have died. Every single time a hero gets into a fight, they could die. Quirk status doesn't make a difference whatsoever. All Might really would make a good, incredible fish cosplayer. It took him a good long minute before he looked like he wasn't going to sock Izuku in the face. "You'll never be a hero," All Might decided, voice oozing with scorn and hatred and disgust. "And neither will you," he responded in a chipper tone. "Because, unlike you, I haven't peaked when I'm a douchebag at 0. No, I still have my whole life, and I'm sure I could do great things that you can never do. I don't need a quirk to do so. I don't even need to get a license, actually." At that, All Might looked confused and irritated. Izuku's words were contradictory, he knew, but he hadn't finished serving the final blow yet. "I am already a hero," he said with a deceptively friendly smile and bright voice. All Might looked ready to shout or make some kind of remark, but Izuku bet him to it. A better one than you could ever be, that's for sure." Instinctively, he ducked to the ground to avoid what would have been a black eye. Following pure muscle memory, he swept his legs under All Might, sending him crashing down and coughing up blood. Izuku just smirked in turn. Quickly, he ran off, away from the scene and people helping All Might off the floor and shouting at Izuku from a distance. He didn't care one bit about what they thought. He was running off the high of beating the number 1 pro hero. It was laughably easy. How whatever villain didn't manage to defeat All Might before was beyond him. They should have just caught him once he had exhausted his quirk. None of that mattered though. No matter what anyone else did or said, there was one thing Izuku was certain of. Midoriya Izuku would be a hero. Okay, everyone, that was the entirety of the fic. Why? I wish I could just put like sparkles in the title. I actually might do that in the title card, like the background of this video, just so, because I haven't made the title card of this video yet, but I could just imagine it's just why with sparkles all around. If it isn't, please let me know how you would have thought of that. But anyway, I love this fic. I'm not sure if I did it justice or not, but I found this fic ages ago. It's been in my to read for absolutely ages. I think I found it like a couple of days after this fic came out, and it was published over a year ago. So yeah, I've been meaning to read this for well over a year now, and yeah, I never have. But anyway, I really enjoyed this. Please make sure to go over to AO3 and give your love too. And give love to this fellow southerner. Hang on, that sounds like I'm an American. Shit, I'm not American. This person's from New Zealand. So yeah. Oh, and looking at their profile, they've done one Bring Us Shadows fic. I'll have to look at that now. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.